What's up guys, Axis here, back with another tutorial, and today I'm going to be showing you how to unwrap a head and project a displacement onto it. So we're going to be using body paint in this tutorial, which I really don't like. You have to be pretty vigilant and follow each step, otherwise you probably will mess something up. That's what I've learned from using body paint. So if you want to go down to the description, I've got a free download for the head model. If you have one already, even better. And also down there you can find the Landscape Essentials pack, which is 45% off until the date shown on screen. And on the website I've got a bunch of renders showing all the different landscapes, well not all of them, just some of them. And they're all 8K, so you're getting the best quality pretty much that Octane can handle. And they're all exported in TIFF as well. Anyway, enough plugin. Let's get into the tutorial. So I'm going to open up the head here. Sounds kind of sinister. It's an OBJ, and then I'm going to go to no material because we're going to add the material. And then we're going to go and change our layout to body paint UV edit, which is a pretty daunting layout. But then we're just going to click on set from projection, which will create a UV tag down here. And then go to materials, and we're going to create a new material. We're going to check this on, double click in this blank space here. And this is going to save this, so if we call this just head or something, the resolution doesn't matter, but I'm using 2048 if you're interested. And we're going to drag this onto our head. Now, what we're going to do from here is we're going to go into our selection, select all, and we're going to go into our front view, and then click on the UV polygons. And here we've got an unwrapped head, which is not great. It's not great. I mean, it has tried to unwrap this, but it's quite stretched out. It shouldn't really look like this. And if I go into layers and then hide this, I believe that we should be able to see. Yeah, there we go. We can see what the unwrap does. So in the middle, this is what it would look like if you did UV transform and put a material onto here. You'd have this big kind of clump in the middle of your material, and it would look completely messed up. And down here you've got rectangles, which is not what we want. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to make sure that everything is squares. That's what unwrapping is going to do. So let's go into our front view, and I'm going to click on frontal. And you can just move around this like it's a camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our edge selection. I'm going to go in and click on this. I've forgotten what it's called. Path selection, that's the one. And this is where your seam is going to be. So you can select like under the ear. So you could do, for example, like this. Something like that, and go all the way over. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting down the back of the head. If you were to cut higher up, you'd get a better unwrap. But I want the landscape to be up there, so I don't want the seam to be right in the middle of the landscape. So if I start something like at this point, and just follow this all the way down. Uh-oh. Damn it. It's hard to get it first time. Drag down. Right to the bottom. Make sure you're in the center, or as close to the center you can get. And then we're going to go into our polygon mode, and then Control A, make sure everything's selected, and then we're going to go into our UV polygon mode. And from here, if we go to Relax UV, I think I didn't use Auto Realign, but what you want to have checked is you want to have Cut Selected Edges, and you can mess around with Auto Realign. Basically, cut edge selected edges will use this as the seam point, like the point where the seam will be in the material. And you can mess around with ABF and well, basically these two algorithms if you're using something different. But in my case, I'm using LSCM because it works best for this unwrap. I'm actually going to turn off Auto Realign, and if you look in, then you can see that her mouth doesn't look as like, she doesn't look like she's, I don't know. The unwraps do look funny though, I do have to say. Anyway, enough of tangents. I'm going to rotate this, so if you just click on R, it will go to the rotate. It's just like scaling up and down a normal object. So there we go. And then for one last thing, we're going to go into optimal mapping, and then we're going to click apply. Basically, this is just going to make sure it's within the bounds, which mine already was, but there we go. And now we should just be good to switch back to our standard layout, whatever yours is. And then I'm going to delete this material because we don't need that anymore. And just for a test, what you can do is throw on any material. It doesn't matter. You don't have to like drag any UVs in or anything like that. It should all just use this one UV because you know it's the only UV on this head. And at the moment you can't tell, but if I go into diffuse, for example, and put in a checks Cinema 4D Octane shader, go into UVW transform, and then we're going to uniformly scale this all the way down. We have a perfect unwrap apart from down here, which it doesn't really matter because that's not where we're putting the landscape. But as you can see, we've got squares, and then back here we've got the seam. So that's what I was saying about you don't want to have the seam right in the middle of the head for at least this case. That Octane camera screwing me over. Okay, so we don't need that material either. We're just going to delete that, and I'm going to create two blank materials. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say I'm using a shortcut. Basically, go to create shaders, Cinema 4D Octane, and Octane material. We're going to call this one landscape, and we're going to call this base. So we put this on the heads, go into the top view, click 9 for our live selection, and then click Control, middle click, and move your mouse up and down to increase the selection. And then we're going to go into our polygon. Oh, screwed up. So go into our polygon selection first before you do the live selection scale up, and then we're going to do the scale up again. And that's just kind of a rough selection there. Obviously, I think I'm gonna increase the selection a little bit. So the way I'm gonna do that is I'm going to just shift and right click and drag. It's probably my favorite way to select a large number of polygons. There we go. So now we can drag our landscape onto the head, and I'm going to go and create a displacement now. So add displacement. In texture, we're going to go to image texture. I'm going to scale up the level of detail. If you're having a lot of crashes, don't scale this up. I might even put it down to 2048 at the moment, because your picture viewer can freeze sometimes if you have quite a high resolution displacement and you keep sending the scene. And I'm going to be using in the island section, which is pretty much just, there's a lot of black space around it, so we can put like we can put this on the heads, and there won't be any like it won't start mirroring or tiling onto the head. So this section is perfect for this application. And if I go to UV transform, I've already written down some settings because this can be a bit of a bitch to actually get this to look good. So right, if you don't know, this is scale, and then this is the position. So in the position, I'm going to do 0.053, and then I'm going to do minus 0.125 and minus 0.04, and then we're going to scale this down to 0.1.1. These are all rough values, so this might not even work. Doesn't look like it did. Oh. Yeah, it didn't make a difference, never mind. Okay, so I'm gonna scale this up just to see what's going on. Yeah, this didn't really work, did it? My settings don't match. Okay, but I mean, it's close, it's close. So we just move this over a bit, move this back, Wrong one. Wrong one again. The right one, there we go. And she's got a fancy haircut now. Beautiful. Maybe this is a bit too extruded. Also, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I like the side more or the other side more, because we could rotate this. Do we have any clipping? We have a tiny bit of clipping here, so I'm gonna add another level. So if we go and click on our polygon selection, go to select and set selection, this will update our selection, but unfortunately Octane doesn't want to update, so we're going to have to click on the old send here scene, and there we go. I was kind of worried it would freeze there, that's why I was a bit hesitant. But that's looking good. The displacement is mapped properly, and there's no kind of glitchy looking bits apart from here. And I can't really be bothered adding another level, but basically you've got to keep expanding this, or either that or scaling down the displacement until you get something that doesn't clip, pretty much. So now we're just going to do a bit of simple texturing on this. So I'm going to, for speed's sake, we're going to go and get the live DB. I'm going to go and grab a gold material, because we're going to make it look like a BAFTA. Where are you at? I'm going to use this rose gold, because rose gold is the best gold. Facts. Right, so I'm going to go copy this displacement. I'm going to paste this as well, so this will be our base layer now. Base, and then we're going to drag and hold Alt over our original base. Put that there. And then we're going to do the same for our landscape one. And we're going to paste that. There we go. It's not looking great at the moment. I'm going to change this to path tracing. It looks even worse now, but just wait. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a new camera. So that's an Octane camera there. I used like a shortcut, so it's in Objects, Octane Camera, and then we're going to create a HDRI environment too. And now I'm going to zero this all out. So now we're face on with the face. Face on, literally. I'm going to move this out a bit. So now we can just bring in some random HDRIs. So I'm going to go and grab one from here. I like HDRI Studio 8. I have no idea where I got these. I've been using them for ages though. So you can just get any HDRI environment. I'm going to change this to float, because I only want the black and white bits. And I'm going to scale down the power and bring up the gamma. This is normally the best kind of look. Well, it's not the best look, but I just like the look for using highly glossy materials. I like to turn up the gamma. And then just kind of mess around with the projection. The rotation of this. Something like that maybe. And then we're going to bring in a light. So, that looks funny. I'm just going to rotate this round, bring this up, and this will just be kind of a rim light at the back of her head. Going to turn down the general visibility, and I'm going to turn off camera visibility. And we'll put this down pretty low, maybe even lower than 25, maybe 12. Yeah, like that. Maybe do another light. I'll just create a new one actually, and then go into model mode, and I'm going to scale this down. And do the same thing, general visibility down and camera visibility checked off. And we'll do maybe 15. That looks fine. Okay. So now I'm going to just mess around with some settings, like I'm actually going to turn up the level of detail to 8K now. It shouldn't really make a difference because we're quite far away, but in the final render, obviously, I'm going to utilize the full resolution of the landscape, so if it's there, why not? And I'm going to turn on camera imager inside our camera tag, put down the hot pixel removal, which isn't really necessary for the scene. It's just kind of a standard procedure at this point. And I'm going to go and change our response. Actually, that was a good choice, yeah. This one's kind of a bluey response, which kind of complements the gold. Kind of makes it a bit darker looking. Washes out the gold a bit. Quite like it. And make sure when you're going to change stuff inside our material, make sure you change it on both. And make sure they've got the same UV settings as well. Because otherwise, you're going to get clipping when it reaches that selection up here. So bear that in mind, and also we might want to throw on our normal map for this. So if I go in, this might create a difference between the selection and the base, but it's worth a go, I think. I'm going to copy our image texture so we don't have to write in our UVW map stuff again. Paste that there. And I'm just going to go and make sure this is a normal. Yeah, there's a bit of an inconsistency there now. That sucks. Alright. So I'm going to change the roughness. I'm going to use a noise texture just to avoid having to include like links for random like dirt textures and stuff like that. So I'm going to do it on the base first because I can see that better. So we're just going to create a bit of variation in the gold. Scale this down a bit. That's a bit too far down. I wonder what this would look like if it was a brush texture actually. Maybe I'll try that. I mean, I do like this, but so I'll just copy this and I'm going to create a turbulence. I think that's what I normally use. I've been using Arnold for like the past 2 weeks mainly, so I don't really remember. Wait, did I just made a transform? Right, so turbulence, there we go. I was just like, T, turbulence, transform, same thing. This might look a bit goofy, but I kind of like the look of that actually, it's pretty cool. Maybe if we turn down the octaves and the omega, it will look a little less busy. Didn't really do much. I might add a gradient in here just to kind of make the transition between these not so extreme. So if we move up the black, actually no, if we I think I'm gonna move this to maybe 30, and then I'm gonna move this to like 40. You really don't see the difference there. Maybe if it samples a bit more, then we'll see it, but just so you kind of get the idea, we're gonna boost that. That looks good, I think. Oh, and then I'll add a mixed material, or add a multiply actually, that'd be quicker. Multiply, and we're gonna multiply that by a noise, so then we're gonna have little splotches of brushed metal, so it looks like it's been worn away in some places. I'm just gonna turn up the turbulence max so I can actually, like, it's very obvious where the noise is, if you feel me. I'm gonna turn up the scale of this. Okay. And then I'm going to turn down the contrast again. Okay. And now we do the copy shader, and then we're gonna put that back into our landscape. And now we should have no difference if I even go and like scale in, so you guys don't think I'm tricking you. It's exactly the same. There's absolutely no seam there unless you go to the back of it. Also, this might look good at this angle as well, but if you go to the back, I think oh yeah, I can't tell if it looks screwed up or not. Maybe if I put this to image texture, I mean info passes, that actually looks okay. I don't see any seam there. Maybe if the texture was lower down we'd see the seam. I can't remember where I put it, but yeah, you can just rotate around there now. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say, in our displacement you can actually invert this, which is a really cool effect that I haven't at this point messed around with, which I think I will. See, look how cool that is. It's kind of creepy, but I think it looks pretty cool. So yeah, lots of options here. And then maybe if I scale this up a bit, if I had a bigger selection, maybe I'd be able to do like her forehead with this kind of effect on it, which I think would look awesome. Maybe it's just me, but I think it looks like something from Houdini or something. So yeah, just mess around with stuff like that and you get some cool results. I promise. Okay, so there we go. Just for the end of this tutorial, I'll switch this back to original settings. Put our camera there. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure, if you haven't already, if you're just watching this through, to go and grab the Landscape Essentials pack. Remember, 45% off till the date on screen. And if you're having any problems with this, especially I'll expect that a lot of people will have problems with the unwrapping, just comment below and I'll try and help you if I like know the answer, or someone else more knowledgeable will. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.